But that's not the agenda of religion. That's not the agenda of the mind controllers. They want to drag you down into an irrational, limbic, mammalian, reptilian, level of consciousness, what the Indian Vedas would call the lower chakra drives, and keep you there permanently so that you're confused and terribly weak, terribly psychologically disempowered. And so therefore you're going to seek stability, you're going to seek security through whatever kinds of handrails that are then provided for you by the system. Again, the other side of this is you have the problem, and you have the historical issue, historical problem, but you also have a new age now in which we have the internet, we have these writers, authors, so we're catching up on the game. We have even movies on the subject, incredibly detailed movies, in fact, that look into the whole of this.
They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of snakes is under their lips. Their mouths are full of bitterness and curses, and in their paths nothing but ruin and misery, and the fear of God is not before their eyes. They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth. And our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you.
Easy to apply nails, pre-colored in 7 luscious hues. Just...
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep.
Oh, goddamn hacker, that second damn night that asshole's cut in.
The movement was begun 8 months ago by a small group of scientists who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent through town.
He's giving me a headache. Yeah, tell me about it. Us took the hackers months to figure out how to do this.
The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
All I would say is that we've got to not trust the media stories when any of these, atrocities take place. You've got to really search out and seek out for yourself and not believe what, the mainstream media is telling you. You have to realize that this is a very ancient thing. It's very sophisticated. And that you'll have to realize that religion plays a key part because it deals with the emotions of man, his irrational drives, and his needs. Man being raped on one side of what he really is spiritually, loss of center. So when you see these Sirhans, you see in these Hinckleys and these apparently lost souls, who are easily manipulated, you got to realize that that is the guy next door. This is pretty much walking around in the world. But the good thing about the modern age is that you have people like Ted Gunderson and John DeCamp, you see, and whistleblowers from within. Ted Gunderson, of course, was very senior in the FBI. John DeCamp was a senator. You have people from within the system now. You have, I can't remember his name, but in MASH, the show MASH, BJ Honeycutt, the guy, his name will come to me in a minute. He has made a personal investigation into child abuse and satanic circles. So you have famous actors, Lee Majors, and and Robert Mitchum have done movies on this. You know, certain Albert Finney with Looker. You know, there's a lot of movies out there that have been covering this. Of course, The Manchurian Candidate immediately jumps to mind, with a fantastic film with who was in that? It was Frank Sinatra. You know, lots of elements there, and that is not fiction. That is absolutely true, with key words, key phrases. Isn't it a coincidence that Mark Hinckley and Chapman, you know, both were reading Catcher in the Rye? You know, so just even these small sort of anecdotal connections, and the way they do it is also very interesting. How the whole process of how an actual mind control slave is made runs along pretty typical lines. They have traditional ways of doing it. It's very much based on your own profile when they've been studying you independently without your knowledge. And also, of course, we find out that many of these individuals who've gone down that road, who've been so abused this way, were in fact involved with the corps, or the the United Nations, or the media, or the military. You cannot even document the cases of the people who've gone on to commit these crimes, including Oswald and Son of Sam, David Berkowitz, and other people. They've all had some sort of background in the military, or they've all worked for some sort of United Nations group, or military corps, or Peace Corps, or whatever. They've had some tie-in with some major orgs, and sometimes a lot more, sometimes full-blown, military intelligence kinds of organizations. And we even know that the conspiracy movement and the New Age movement is infiltrated by these people. There's all sorts of levels on this, all the way from the spiritual level, with religion affecting your mind and disempowering you in order to control every action, every thought you think, all the way down to this more street level, mind control, where kids are recruited from school because teachers who are in the pay of these think tanks observe the child, observe their spiritual tendencies, observe their introverted nature, because you'll always hear the same refrain. It's a very, very common refrain, which you pick up in Mark Hinckley, because he specifically was a virtuous man, actually, and his crimes were born out of a virtue that was manipulated. His virtue was to save the young from all the pestilence and evil that he saw that was rampant in the adult world. So the mind controllers would have picked up on this, and they would have looked at his profile and say, this man is kind of humanitarian, he's a bit of a loner. So he was a kind of a loner in school, yet as a loner he joined the military. Why would a loner, see, there's a contradiction right there, and they pick up on that. Why would a loner be joining something which is not only collectivized, it's highly collectivized, it's very regimented? So then they pick up conflict in his personality, and then he joins a collectivized kind of setup like the military, and then it's still super introverted. His buddies will say, oh, we didn't go on with him, he never spoke, he was dead quiet. So you've got little contradictions there. Why would a man even like that be compelled to join something totally antithetical to his nature? Was he compelled to do that? Or was he trying to break out of his own personality mold and try to do that as a way to heal himself from what he thought was a malignancy of nature? Because if you're introverted and live in the West or live in America, they'll make you feel that you're malignant, all right. It's not that introversion is malignant, quite the contrary. As the psychologists know, it's the extrovert personality type that's the easiest hypnotized. Ha ha ha. The extrovert personality, Mr. Sunshine, the one season world, getting gung-ho guy who's super successful, got everything that the material world can offer, he goes under in 2 seconds flat. But it's the introvert that you kind of manipulate. Well, so this is the, again, contradictions.
Who wants it? Congratulations, Richard. You had some very interesting scores on the first series of tests for Parallax.
Testing for what?
The Parallax Corporation. You did apply for our training, didn't you?
Oh, Christ, that.
As you know, Parallax receives demands from all phases of industry. Demands for unusual personnel. If you qualify, and we think that you can, we're prepared to offer you the most lucrative and rewarding work of your life.
Yeah, what do you get out of it?
We receive a sort of finder's fee. As I said, the jobs are difficult to fill. Your tests suggest that you have remarkable talents.
Yeah, what do you mean by talents?
You have difficulty holding on to a job, don't you?
I don't know, I just don't like to take a lot of shit, so people say I got antisocial tendencies.
Right. Tell me, has it ever crossed your mind that maybe it's everybody else's problem that they don't get along with you?
Why?
Because you see, the very quality that gets you in trouble is what makes you potentially invaluable.
What's that?
Your aggressiveness.
Aggressiveness.
Right. Look, I don't want to intrude on you while you're reading. But get in touch with me personally if you'd like to go further.
But